How do I write a good research paper? How do I improve my academic writing skills? What can I do to increase my chances in a job interview? How do I curate the best resume for my dream job?
Ever since the beginning of Christ deemed to be university, need has been felt to bridge the gap between the seekers of knowledge and the source. For that, Christ deemed to be university, through the Center of Academic and Professional Support (CAPS), brings you India's first professional online writing lab, providing students with opportunities for self-learning at their own pace. We aim to offer expert consultation and peer interaction opportunities to all Christites at free of cost. Our one-on-one interactive sessions, online tests and digital certificates adds on to a better learning experience for the users. At Christ Online Writing Lab, we provide assistance at all times to our diverse audience and help them to enrich their professional and academic skills. Some of the courses that we offer are appearing for a job interview, resume writing, art of note-taking, introduction to professional communication, research writing, and academic writing. In contemporary times, accessibility is the key to education. It is the only way that allows us to tap into everyone's potential. With the advent of digital medium, education is now available to everyone who wants to learn. This is our contribution to the history of Indian digital education. Christ Online Writing Lab.
Hello again and good morning to all of you. Welcome to the third day of the course Writing as a Career. So far you've learned the basic process of writing, the basic principles of writing in the first session. In the second session we went over with Mr. Chitresh about the process of publishing and how to go about it. I hope the sessions have been informative so far. We are also receiving a lot of feedbacks and we're working on them as well. So let's begin today's session. Today we are going to pick on the process of deep editing. We will all learn how to master the art of editing and become a great editor. Now, this technique I have myself learned from a course on Udemy taken by Mr. Shani Raja, who is an ex-Wall Street Journal editor. He teaches top journalists how to improve their writing and has written and edited for some of the world's biggest news organizations, including the Wall Street Journal, The Economist, Financial Times, and Bloomberg News. He has also taught advanced writing skills to professionals and edited for leading global companies from Microsoft to IBM and PwC, etc. He also teaches journalism to undergraduates. So I am trying to pick away the best parts, the best key points from the course and to present it over here. So I hope it goes well. Alright, let's begin. So we will look at techniques that a lot of people who go by the profile of editors don't even know of. These techniques are going to help you reach new heights in writing. After learning these, you will be able to take any piece of work, however unpresentable and disorganized, and turn it into something that looks magnificent. Now, there are 4 distinct stages that comprise deep editing, and we will look at them individually to understand better all aspects of editing so that you will be perfect at it by the end of this session. You will find a lot of editors who call themselves so because they are capable of fixing errors like punctuation and grammar, typos, etc. So basically they will make it technically correct, post which it will obviously look and read better than before. But let us remember that that is just a part of the real process of editing. So it is a surface level approach or cosmetic editing, which means basically you put makeup on the piece of writing. You conceal the errors and make it look prettier, more presentable. So you may hide the obvious mistakes by doing so, but it still does not make the writing a powerful piece that leaves a lasting impression and is pleasurable to read. Now, as an editor, you might come across pieces of writing that are chaotic and rambling, that lack any sense of order or direction, are full of duplication, inconsistencies, and weak phrases. In such cases, the piece requires way more than the makeup we talked about. It will require a more detailed approach. That approach is what we will be looking at today. If you are working as a copy editor for a client, this process is going to help you level up your work. But even if you're editing your work, this framework is very helpful in bringing up the standards of your piece of writing. So let us understand what deep editing is. It is a framework for getting right under the body of your writing and to build it right up. With this framework, you can fix any type of writing, even if it is a complete mess. Now, it is not only to modify bad writing, but also to make a good piece of writing look great so that it looks professional and polished. Now, deep editing comprises 4 stages. There is a set of questions that accompanies every stage. After having answered all of them and having gone through all of the 4 stages, you will have yourself a thoroughly edited piece with attention to details that will in no way lack in quality. So now I have an example, a type of article in front of you, which we will be looking at. We will give it a read. We will see how disorganized and messed up it is. It is an article that I have written myself and I have made it look that way intentionally, and we will go through the 4 stages of deep editing and edit it together. So let's have a look at the article. Now, an Indian plant shop, that is the most famous plant shop in many of the states of India like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, has decided to allow its customers for the first time to give choices of plants on their website that have been made newly and can be accessed from mobile or laptop or tablet. The company's name is Green Nation. So many people love having plants in their gardens and in their balconies and on terraces. But many people do not get the plants of their choice nearby anywhere sometimes. People do not like when there is no choices, but not anymore. Now with this new website by this plant shop, anybody can see many choice and order what they like. The plant shop promises to have it brought in a time period of 2 weeks from part of the country. The plant shop says that when people will have more choice, they can order more and decorate more and fulfill plantation hobbies. This is an initiative we hope will bring good results, said the owner Rajat Verma in an interview. It is an effort to unite plantations from across the diverse lands of India. So what we can see here is an article that is disorganized, that has a lot of grammatical errors, a lot of punctuation errors, spelling mistakes, typos, no structure and no flow between the statements. Now we will be going through the 4 stages of deep editing, and we will see how to turn this chaotic piece of writing into something that looks magnificent. So when you are deep editing a piece, you do it on 4 levels. The first is the content level. Here you ask questions that help you evaluate what to keep in, what to take out, and what to change. Questions like, is everything unique and different? Does everything make perfect sense? Is everything factually true? Is it relevant? If so, is it worth keeping? The second stage is the structure edit, and this is where you organize your points into an orderly narrative that flows well from beginning to end. The third stage is the style edit, and that is where you make sure that all the ideas are expressed in a stylish way, which means simply, clearly, and elegantly and evocatively as possible. And the final stage is the presentation edit, where apart from grammar, punctuation, typos, etc., you also check about consistencies and ideas that might have gone astray during the heavier stages. Once all the 4 stages are completed, you will have a body of writing that is extremely polished. So, the first stage, the content edit. Before starting to edit anything, you need to get familiar with what the territory and the boundaries of the content are. You can call it mapping the territory. Defining things like what you want to communicate and to whom. Very important. So you have to make a statement. The article is focused on doing XXX, which is your intent, for XXX, that is your readers. So the article is focused on doing this intention for this, for your readers. So break the gist into individual points to find out what it is trying to convey. Make sure every point makes sense. Delete anything that is not relevant. Remember, it is fine if you find nothing that needs to be deleted. But yes, go through the step definitely. Then, is every point worthwhile? Now remember, there is a subtle distinction between relevant and worthwhile. The latter is making sure only the absolute best content remains. Rest is removed. Now, relevant but unnecessary should be removed, and it prevents rambling. So, is something which is taking away razor sharp focus from your points, from your article. Then, is every point unique? So remove repetition that is unnecessary. Remove everything that is being repeated. No point of saying the same thing over and over again for no reason. After this, things get cleaner and straightforward. So next you ask, are all the facts correct? Double checking truths. If anything sounds fishy or suspicious or dubious, basically the process of fact checking, because it is not always your article. Sometimes as a copy editor, you're editing for somebody else. So when the article is not written by you, you need to definitely do your fact checking. Check if anything looks fishy to you, if anything looks doubtful to you. Always do fact checking. So for example, is it a he or a she? People's titles, Dr., Mr., Mrs., Miss, name of entities, people's profiles. For example, if you're talking about a political personality, is he a minister? Is he someone else? Or, for example, in this article, when we come to the article, we'll talk about it. Then next is anything missing? Anything that needs to be added? Again, if it is not your article, you can look at the article, whoever has written the article and given to you to edit. You can look and check if there is anything that needs to be added, any useful information that you feel is missing from the article. Then, so any bit of information that could enrich the article, right? For example, in our article that we are going through, you can give examples of names of new plants that are coming up, or what are the charges, or if the charges are reasonable, or what are the noticeable changes in their plant shop. So if you remember the articles, these are the points we could add in this question, right? So and similarly in the fact check process, we can check, for example, in the last statement we read that the owner Rajat Verma has given a bite in the interview. So you should check if the guy is the owner, or is he holding some other position in the organization. So let's go to the article and move through the first stage, the stage of content edit, right? So here you have the article in front of you. An Indian plant shop, that is the most famous plant shop in many of the states of India, like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, has decided to allow its customers for the first time to give choices of plants on their website. Alright, I'm not going to read the whole article. Let's look at the first question we have. What is the territory of the piece and what is its ultimate purpose? So we can clearly see that the territory of the piece is that you're talking about a plant shop. You're talking about how it has brought in a new feature for your customers, and what is the new feature? That is different choices of plants. Where is it available? On their website. And what is the name of the company? That is Green Nation. So that is your territory of the purpose, and that is also your territory of the article, and that is also your purpose. That is to inform your customers. To the purpose of the company is to inform its customers about the new feature that has been rolled out. Next, you have what are the individual points and does every point make sense? So here you can see, you say there it is an Indian plant shop, right? And then you talk about states of India like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra. So here I feel that repeatedly using the word India is not necessary. Once you have said it is an Indian plant shop, you do not need to repeat to say that states of India. So it is understood that those states belong to the country of India if it is an Indian plant shop. Then you can also see that the company's name is alright, so that is repetition. That'll actually come in the next step. Let's focus right now on making out our individual points. So these are our individual points: that the company is Indian, first of all. Second of all, it is a plant shop. Third of all, its distribution, which is mostly in these three states. Fourth, that it is giving new choices. Fifth, that it is on the website. Sixth, that the time period given is of 2 weeks. So that is a good point, adding to their features that only within a time period of 2 weeks the plant shop will have delivered your new plant choices. And the last point, that is to fulfill your plantation hobby. So it is for plantation enthusiasts. So those are your individual points. Next is to check if everything is unique. So relevant, worthwhile, and unique. Remember the distinction between relevant and worthwhile while we go through this step. So again, Indian plant shop, right? And states of India, the point that I mentioned earlier, that could be changed. Now, we can see the company's name is Green Nation. We do not need to repeat that. In the very beginning, when we start the article, we can say Green Nation and Indian company, right? We do not need to repeat the company's name separately in a different statement. That is just increasing our content. Then people do not like when there is no choices. So I think that is obvious that people do not like. But also, if not, it is something it may be relevant but not worthwhile to keep in the article, or maybe it could be framed in a better manner. So after doing this, after making these changes, we can now see we have removed the statement that said here the company's name is Green Nation, and we have made it Green Nation and Indian plant shop, right? Again, so then you have first alright, time period of 2 weeks and owner Rajat Sharma. So now the next step is to check if all the facts are correct and if anything is missing. So here you see that the thing I talked about, owner Rajat Sharma, you need to fact check if the owner is a manager probably, or could be a distributor also, not necessarily the owner, could be anything. So you need to fact check about that. So this is your content edit, and these are the questions we ask in the stage of content edit. Next we have the structure edit, where we have questions like what is the angle, what are the key sections. So what is the angle is similar to the purpose which was in content edit, but it is less abstract. So it is not about what you're trying to achieve, but what you're trying to focus on. So that will give shape to your article. What are the key sections, as in the categories you can make out of the given content, right? What is the narrative structure means organizing the categories we have selected into the best possible order, one that flows well. So once you have already made your categories, your key sections, there should also be a well-formed order of the paragraphs, right? Which brings continuity and a flow into your piece of writing. Are the points ordered elegantly? That is, your points should not be randomly placed, right? So let's go through the article to what we have edited so far and see how we can do the structure edit phase of the article. So now here you can observe that I have divided the article into 4 key sections, right? So earlier we in the last stage here we had it as a complete one article, right? So now you can see that it has been distributed into 4 sections. So how you go through the article and you see how it what are your key sections. So in the first section you're talking about the company, which is a plant shop, its distribution, right? Next you're talking about the relevance of the new feature. Why? Because people like having plants and doing plantation choices, etc. In next you tell them about the new feature. What is the new feature that is coming out, and what is the speciality of the feature which should attract the customers. And in the last section you give the bite by the owner, Rajat Sharma, right? So these are your key sections. After you're done with key sections, what is the narrative structure? So that is the flow, right? There should be a flow, and if the points are ordered elegantly. So having gone through this stage, what I felt was the part that is highlighted in the color yellow. So many people love having plants in their gardens and in their balconies. So this is a basic introduction of what you're going to talk about. Instead of starting right away with the company's name, you could actually first start with the introduction that yes, that is what we usually read in articles. We talk about the domain on which we are focusing in the article, and then we go on to talk about the main point of focus, that is the company Green Nation and what its features are going to be. So I feel here in this, after answering this question, we can switch these 2 sections. The yellow part can go above and the blue part can go second in the order. So here we can see that. So now let us look how it reads now. So many people love having plants in their gardens and in their balconies and on terraces, but many people do not get the plants of their choice nearby anywhere sometimes, but not anymore. And now you go on to introduce about Green Nation and Indian Plant Shop, that is the most famous plant, and so on. So now this sequence of your narrative structure makes a lot more sense than what it was earlier. So this is something that you need to focus on, the sequence of your key sections, the key sections that you made out of the article, out of the unedited piece, and then the sequence of those key sections. Next is your style edit. So the style edit is where you make sure that all ideas are expressed in a stylish way, means simply, clearly, elegantly as possible. So the questions asked are, is there narrative definition? That is to create narrative turns in your piece. Does it read well? Is there any clutter? So clear up if there is any clutter. Are the paragraphs in good shape, which is arranging them if they are not? Could it start better? So it is about creating a catchy introduction, which is very important. Could it end better? Creating a catching ending is also important. Can we make it more vivid? That is basically adding color to the narrative, make it look more colorful. Then, is every person and entity correctly introduced? So leave no man behind, give references, make sure that everybody you are talking about in the article is introduced or addressed properly and correctly with the right address. Now, so let's go to the article again and see how we can apply these questions. So far, whatever we had was this. So many people, alright, not going to read it again, of course. So the last thing we did was we made them into key sections and arranged them in the right sequence. Now we'll go through our questions. Does it read well? Is there any clutter? So our keyword is clutter this time. So first of all, remember here what I have done is I have kept the original statements, and right below them I have kept the new form statements that I want to put in. So the original statement was, so many people love having plants in their gardens and in their balconies and on terraces. So to remove the clutter, I changed it into plantation and green farming. So many people love having plants is a big statement. What is it actually? It is a hobby, the hobby of plantation. So plantation and green farming is a much loved hobby. Shorter and looks better, reads better for people across the world. So many people across the world who take great interest in gardening balconies and terraces. So there we reduce the whole statement of in their gardens and in their balconies and on terraces. A lot of repetition and does not read well. So we change that as well. Next is, but many people do not get the plants of their choice nearby anywhere sometimes. So instead of writing many people, I made it most. Instead of saying the plants of their choice, I made it do not get enough choice nearby, right? Next we had Green Nation and Indian Plant Shop. That is the most famous plant shop in many of the states. I made it Green Nation and Indian Plant Shop quite famous. Instead of saying that is the most famous plant shop, I made it quite famous. Then, as I talked earlier, many of the states of India, I made it Indian states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, right? Next, so has decided to allow its customers. Next you have, now with this new website by this plant shop, I made it now with Green Nation's new website. Now that we already know the name of the plant shop, we do not need to say plant shop again and again. We should use the name. Now with Green Nation's new website. Then you have in the second statement, the plant shop promises to have it brought in. Again, the plant shop. So we make it into they. Also, we cannot repeat the name of the company again and again. So that is what we have pronouns for. So we use they promise to have it brought in. Again, the promises is a mistake. Yes, there are a lot of grammatical mistakes in the piece, which we will be addressing in the next stage. Then, so the plant shop says that when people will have more choice, they can order more and decorate more, right? Again, there is the plant shop says. So that can also be changed into Green Nation says, right? So that is your clutter. Next is, could it start better? Could it end better? Can we make it more vivid? So 3 key points: starting, ending, and adding more color to the piece. So let's go to that stage. Yes. So plantation and all right. So first of all, we are focusing on the starting of the article. The first paragraph. What changes have I made here? In the statement, we see world. Plantation and green farming is a much loved hobby for people across the world. So to make it read better, I changed the word and replaced it by the globe, right? Who take great interest in gardening at balconies and terraces. But most do not get enough choice. I made it, but most find a shortage of choice. Nearby, anywhere, sometimes. Anywhere, sometimes does not read well at all. So I made it, no matter what their geographical location be. A better choice of words reads better. So the starting is done, the starting has been made better. The ending needs to be focused on. I think it is fine. Next is vivid, so to make it more colorful. So in the article, in the paragraphs that we have in the middle, Green Nation and Indian Plant Shop, quite famous in Indian states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, has decided to allow. Now what is deciding to allow? That is not really a very well-reading statement. So we made it, rolled out a new service for its customers for the first time. So instead of saying for the first time, we made it first of its kind. To give choices of plants, to make it read well, we make it to offer varied choices of plants on the website that have been made newly and can be accessed from mobile or laptop or tablet. So that is made the website that have been made newly accessible from mobile or laptop or tablet. Again, the repetition of or that can be improved will be done. Now with Green Nation's new website, anybody can see many choice. So why say anybody? You're focusing, you're targeting your customers. So talk about customers, not anybody, but your customers. Many choice, better use of word is multiple choice. So customers can explore multiple choice and order what they like. So that is starting, ending, and making it more vivid. Next we have, is every person and entity correctly introduced? So yeah, I think that we already checked upon. So Mr. Rajat Verma, so your task as an editor would be to make sure that the person who has been talked about here is in fact the owner, or could he be holding some other position in the company, and make sure that is done correctly. So that is your structure edit. Next we will move on to the presentation edit. So presentation edit is your final stage of the deep editing process. You should be proud of yourself that you've reached here. You're already done with 3 major stages, and now only a little bit of work remains. So now here in this stage, it consists of tidying up the grammar, spellings, punctuation, and typos. So, checking things like inconsistencies, ideas that might have gone astray during the first three stages. So, these are the questions that you need to ask. Are the spelling, grammar, and punctuation respectable? Do the headlines and text square up? That is just performing title matching, if they don't. So you have to check if your title matches with the text that goes with the title, right? Is everything consistent? And finally, read out loud. So after this, you will have a body of writing that is exceptionally polished. You are now through all the stages and have a piece of writing that excels. It is appealing to the reader and fine by all means. So let's go back to the article to complete our final stage and have something great in front of us. So here now, first question that we're dealing with is the grammatical errors, the punctuation, etc. Right? So we can see here clearly that first of all, in your second statement of the first paragraph, highlighted yellow, the word choices, a shortage of choices. So it was choice, we made it a shortage of choices. Next, in your second paragraph, if you remember, the spelling of Rajasthan was wrong. The A between the J and the S was missing. Then we had Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra in the last paragraph, in the last edit, if we can see here, and that we made Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra, and has rolled out a new service for its customers, first of its kind, to offer varied choices of plants on their website that have been made newly accessible. So that was has been made, right? In next paragraph you have again the word choices can explore multiple choices. It was choice, we made it choices, plural. Then they promises to have it brought in, right? So they promise to have it brought in, not promises. So earlier we had from part of the country. So from any part of the country. There is nothing like part of the country, any part of the country. Again, the word choices in the last paragraph. And fulfill plantation hobbies, we made it fulfill their plantation hobbies. So that is your step of checking the spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Next is to check if the headlines and text square up. So in this piece of article, we do not really have any headlines. So in the course from where I learned this technique, we went through a lengthy article, a newspaper article. But since we do not have enough time for that, I have picked up a small article. So we do not have that much detail to work upon and practice. So we do not really have any headlines here to go with it. But when you do have headlines, subtitles, make sure that the paragraphs that go with your headlines are matching up with your titles, right? Next is if everything is consistent, and finally reading out loud. So that is your last stage to check if there is anything that you missed out on. To read out loud, is everything reading well? And if there are still anything that is being repeated, or if you feel there are some words that can be replaced with words that read better, you can do that. Having a better choice of words, vocabulary. So here is your last stage, finally the last step, you see. So in your second statement in the first paragraph, but most find a shortage of choices nearby, no matter what their geographical location be, but not anymore. But has been said twice, does not read very well, so we can remove one of those two. And the shortage of choices nearby, no matter their geographical location, near them reads well, reads better. In your second paragraph, website that has been made newly accessible can instead be written new website accessible from mobile, laptop, or tablet. So it is shorter, removing clutter as we saw earlier. Now with Green Nation's new website, again repetition of the word Green Nation, repetition of the word website again and again. So instead of that, choose a better word or choose a different word for that matter with this new feature. So this phrase is shorter and has a better choice of words. Then you see they promise to have it brought in. So again, instead of they, you can use the company's name Green Nation. Also remember, in that case, promises will again, promises is right. Yes, so Green Nation promises to have it brought in. It was promise earlier. in the last stage, but we will change as per what noun or pronoun is going with it. To have it brought in. Better to read is the order delivered, right? In a time period of 2 weeks, instead of writing the number, you can spell the word to. Then the last thing, they believe that when people will have more choices, they can order more and decorate more and fulfill their plantation hobbies. A lot of the usage of the word and again and again, breaking the sentences into so many bits. Not necessary, it could be made better. So we replace it by they believe that with more choices. Instead of saying when people will have more choices, we say with more choices. Gardening enthusiasts. Already when you say gardening enthusiasts, you make everything pretty much clear. Gardening enthusiasts can better enjoy their decoration and planting hobbies. So there you are done with that. Then again you continue with your interview bite. Alright, so now that we are done with the last step of presentation edit also, let us have a comparison with what we had in the beginning and what the article looks like now. This is your edited article and this was what you had. Let's give it a read, it will not take long. An Indian plant shop, that is the most famous plant shop in many of the states of India like Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, has decided to allow its customers for the first time to give choices of plants on their website that have been made newly and can be accessed from mobile or laptop or tablet. The company's name is Green Nation. So many people love having plants in their gardens and in their balconies and on terraces. But many people do not get the plants of their choice nearby anywhere sometimes. People do not like when there is no choices, but not anymore. Now with this new website by this plant shop, anybody can see many choice and order what they like. The plant shop promises to have it brought in a time period of 2 weeks from part of the country. The plant shop says that when people will have more choice, they can order more and decorate more and fulfill plantation hobbies. This is an initiative we hope will bring good results, said the owner Rajat Verma in an interview. It's an effort to unite plantations from across the diverse lands of India. You can see how rambling, how unorganized, a lot of grammar, punctuation mistakes, everything. We have gone through that. Let's see how it reads now. Plantation and green farming is a much loved hobby for people across the globe who take great interest in gardening balconies and terraces. But most find a shortage of choices near them, no matter what their geographical location be. Not anymore. Green Nation, an Indian plant shop, quite famous in states like Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra, has rolled out a new service for its customers, first of its kind, to offer varied choices of plants on their new website accessible from mobile, laptop or tablet. With this new feature, customers can explore multiple choices and order what they like. Green Nation promises to have the order delivered in a time period of 2 weeks from any part of the country. They believe that with more choices, gardening enthusiasts can better enjoy their decoration and planting hobbies. This is an initiative we hope will bring good results, said the owner, Rajat Verma, in an interview. It's an effort to unite plantations from across the diverse lands of India. So you can clearly see the change there is in this piece of article. It reads a lot better than before. What are the changes? Before it was repetitive, dull, unclear in places, grammar was off and punctuation sucked. Now it is well structured, it is colorful, flowing and it is clean in terms of punctuation also. So you can see the magic that was done here. After going through all these 4 stages, you can really see and understand how deep editing works and what kind of extreme changes it brings to your piece of writing. No matter how disorganized it is before, it can change a bad piece of writing into a good piece of writing. It can make a good piece of writing look even greater. Finally, so here are a few things you should always remember when editing a piece of writing. Observe each stage properly, think properly, make your work definitely stand out. You will love having this power to turn any piece of chaotic rambling into one with remarkable poise, style and impact. Editing is an art, not a science. It is quite subjective at times. Editors often disagree with each other. So don't let disagreements distract you from the objective. Feel free to edit your own way. It is very important that not all the editing tools have to be used in every case. Go with what your writing lacks. For example, here, the step of making sure that the headlines square up with the paragraphs. We did not go through that because we did not have headlines. And so remember, not all tools are necessary. Just go with what your piece needs. So if you follow through these 4 stages and points, any piece of rough writing can be transformed into a miracle, and a good piece of writing can be made even better. Although we have used a simple article here to perform the process, almost all of the same principles can be applied to most types of writing. So you should practice deep editing on all kinds of writings until you master it. You will find out that eventually you don't have to go through each of these stages methodologically like we did today. We did it this way for you to become familiar with each layer. But after a while, you will know what has to be done, and you will be able to do it all simultaneously and continuously. You will come to know immediately when a piece lacks structure, and you will be able to fix it easily. You will know with your instinct what goes where, which points go with which points, so you can move them closer together easily. The narrative definition will start to come around easily without the whole formal process. So use these techniques to make your writing and editing stand out dramatically and bring a level of perfection to them. There is a steep learning curve because of the in-depth evaluation and operation on the writing, but you are bound to bring a level of perfection to your work if you stick to these techniques. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope that you all practice this enough and make it a part of your writing editing routine. Alright, so I'm sure by now you understand how important it is to deeply understand the whole process and to go by all stages. So this is where we end the process of deep editing. Keep practicing, and before you know it, it will start to come to you automatically, and you'll be a wonderful, masterful editor. So this is where I end my session. From now on, Mr. Chitresh will be taking the rest of the sessions. I hope this has been a great source of learning for you. It was a pleasure having this session. Thank you.